or two people. Let's figure out one or two people. There'll be a point of contact for this thing, and we'll get it discussed. And then
the law enforcement's trying to point out one or two people as the contact people. Rainbow doesn't have that.
They're gonna try to do what they do, but they're
give you all the information so you know what you need to do. You don't have to be here. Where do we need to go? Mr. Davis will cover all this, right?
Do you want help? I got a friend putting gas in my car. Doesn't smell too bad.
not yet anyway.
Oh, you're going too fast. I'm gonna go see what's happening with these guys.
Let's say that Mr. Savage maybe has a solution to this. So let's just kind of project this into the future and think this might be an avenue to take next year or 5 years or whenever it seems appropriate. Okay. Every action that is not currently available requires a special use permit in the National Forest System. So if you have a group of 69 people and those 69 people are going to go on a hiking trip and they sit in this parking lot and they hike today, there's no problem with that. Doesn't require a permit. But if the next day 76 people come out and they all hike that trail, and we do have a group that is a social media based. They're kind of a meetup group. And they have decided that it is beneficial to them to work with us, even though several times they don't meet the threshold for a permit. But what it does allow is it allows for proper planning, and it also it helps us plan and utilize the resources accordingly. So they send me a proposal, and we look at a whole year's worth of events. So they have something lined up every month. And so now I can work with our fire shops and schedule the prescribed burning. It allows me to work with our timber companies that are cutting timber. It allows us to work with recreation events and things of that nature. And it then allows the permit holder a little more freedom to be able to plan things out. And it does not, and I'm sure Ocala, if you mentioned that, I'm sure that that's one of the reasons. It's a benefit to the forest, but in retrospect, from what you were saying, it's also beneficial to the resources so that we adequately plan those things. My job is not to be a burden to anyone, but there are certain elements of a permit that are beyond my control, and we have to make sure that we line those up and make them fit into the box that they belong in. Like Officer Smith was saying, we have the ability to issue special use permits for group uses. And if your group use is 74 people, you might not need it. You may not have needed it. It may not have reached that threshold. But if your group use ended up being 83 people, we would be in a situation where it needed it. So if someone from the group wanted to contact me and say, hey, how can we put a proposal together and at least get it in front of the forest supervisor and have them review it and determine what element and what principles need to be added to it, because there are sanitation things, there are different things. We have to make sure that we're making it safe for everyone, including you guys, but also including other users. So we have to take into consideration, you may be the only ones here today, but there might be another group of maybe a group of Boy Scouts of 100 that'll be in the next weekend. So if we can work together and plan those things, I think we have an opportunity to maybe develop a very positive relationship that is beneficial for your group, beneficial for the forest, and also lessen the impact on the resources. That's ultimately what we're after. So I see you had your hand up earlier. I didn't mean to skip you, but
No, it's okay. So what I'm kind of hearing is that this is not the permit part. Part of that is that you know where there's going to be big groups of people, so that you're not, the forest isn't being overstressed, right? It's not putting stress on the resources, or we're not taking away more from the land than it can handle. That's a big part of that, right? Is that you need to know where those big groups of people are going to be, so that you can coordinate and make sure that the impact on the land is appropriate.
It allows us to plan and manage our resources and our management practices in the forest.
Right.
And we're able to, like if you said, hey, March 13th, I need to do blah, blah, blah. And I say, oh man, March 13th is, it's opening season for Kids Fishing Day. And so for some reason along that line, we have to say, well, okay, can we look at March 15th? Can we look at March 8th, the weekend before? Just kind of trying to work those and strategize so we plan correctly. Yes, sir.
What's the number of group of people allowed to congregate without having to have a permit?
75.
Less than 75.
The line is 75.
So 75 and below, or
Let me-
74 and below.
75
Right
and
here.
below.
What branch were you in?
Army.
Okay. In the infantry?
Yeah.
Yeah, 74 and below.
So I was in the Marine Corps, I was in the infantry. I'm gonna give you an example, okay? So, and I know y'all think we're out here just picking on y'all.
Not at all.
Here's the thing.
Not at all.
So a while back, we had
We
some
deal with
military
this all
guys,
the time.
they're putting on a deal, they're doing a rucksack march, right?
Yep.
But anybody can come,
Yep.
right? So they contact us and say, hey, we want to do this. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to do something, say, hey, there's only about 20 of us, but we're kind of opening it up for whoever wants to come and join in and support the vets, right? So they already know that the potential for 50 people or 150 people to show up is there, right? So Mr. Davis automatically says, okay, guys, y'all have to give me a proposal because you already know that y'all are implying an event that could possibly go over, right? And that's kind of where we're at, right? I mean, y'all know that y'all could go over 75, even if you know, hey, we have a roster and we only, let me finish. We have a roster and we know we're only going to have 60 family members here. But you've put stuff out on social media and stuff, and you know the potential for locals and stuff to come check it out. It's there. So you already know you're at that threshold, right? We do it with bicycling groups, the military groups, all the nonprofit 501c that we cooperate with. They all have to do it, and that's why we're here. Because, just like if we came out, was it 3-4 weekends ago? They had an event out here. I pull up, man, there was like cars everywhere. No idea about it. Hey, who's in charge? That guy comes out. What do y'all got going? Let me see your roster. Well, there's like 112 people on the roster, right? And some of them just people that showed up. I'm like, hey, y'all, we got to shut it down and disperse these people. Y'all can't do this, right? Now, knowing, because, I mean, I've worked nationals and everything else, regionals, Florida. So we already know where you're at and what it could potentially be. We don't want to run into the problem of on the 12th or the 13th or the 14th, where my boss calls up and says, hey, I'm sending 5-6 guys down there.
And you got to kick out 200 people.
Well, let's go see what we got. Here's how it's going to work. He's going to say, hey, go by there. If y'all don't have a permit, he's going to say, go by there and get me an idea of a head count. I may say, hey, they're borderline. I'm not sure, unless I go out there and line everybody up and start counting. And he may go, okay, I'm going to send 4 or 5 guys down there and we're going to count them, right? And then if they're over, we're going to deal with it a different way. We don't want to go through all that. If we can work with y'all and get it permitted, we don't have to have that problem. Go ahead.
How long does a permit take to get reviewed after a proposal is sent in? What's the grace period on actually being able to put one of these together?
I will tell you this, that's where y'all may get a little more leeway than some other organizations.
The complexities that might be required for maybe a research permit might take a couple of months, but a recreation type permit may only take a month.
Any permit.
I mean, it depends upon the complexities and what resources are going to be strained or not strained. And ultimately, that's kind of what.
I'm going to sign them, please.
Yes, sir.
I would really appreciate it if we could get a list of the controlled burn sites for this season, just so we know what sites to miss, so we're not interfering with that.
Is that
Is that a possibility?
So here's the easier answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we
Start looking in areas that have already been burned.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about the list. So the list is public to begin with. You can find it on the internet.
Okay, cool.
But here's the problem with the list. They don't know until the morning of where they're going to burn it.
Mm.
Alright? So the only safe way to know for sure when y'all are scouting is places that have already been burned this year. That I can guarantee you we're not burning over.
Right.
Now, if y'all want to, kind of come to agreement and say, hey, y'all are trying to work with us. Yes, we're going to get with Mr. Davis. We're going to shoot y'all some type of proposal, right? Then, we'll work with y'all and say, hey, what are y'all's needs? What are you looking to do? What do you want? And what areas we can look at and say, okay, this might work for you or this might work for you.
Now, is a proposal signing a permit?
No, sir. A proposal is not signing a permit. A proposal is exactly that. So before you can become, and that list of definitions that Haley has, you start out any special uses with a proposal from a proponent or proponents group, okay? Then it moves, if the proposal is moved into an accepted application, which is also in there, then the proponent, the terminology changes from proponent to applicant. And from that point forward, the permit is moving through its process. As a proposal, it has to be screened, and I brought the CFR.
Only if we go over 75 after proposal, we would be required to sign a permit.
This really isn't about numbers. This is more about like bigger picture and like.
Well,
It's about communication between all
This is the
I don't want sons of
system of checks and balances that you're using to make sure there's informed consent with the land, right? Like we're sure we're not having too hard an impact on the land. That's what we're trying to do.
That's exactly
But y'all do
That's what the
permits on those,
system is
fellas.
for, is to try to make sure that our impact on the land is appropriate.
I've only really done nationals
Smith.
mostly.
We do permits in multiple locations throughout the year. We pretty much had to do the same
So
thing.
I want y'all to think about something.
They did
Why do you do permits in
And they worked
Florida?
with the Forest Service fixing roads while they was in
Because
the
of the
scouting.
logging.
And
Right,
Along
and
the control
because of the
lines,
Forest Supervisor's orders
And
there.
similar to Texas, there's not a lot of places to gather.
I
and
don't
it's
want to
surrounded
have any
private
knowledge of
land.
anybody's.
Correct. So how much public land in the state of Texas, roundabout? Anybody know?
Because
There's only about
Acres or something.
4% of the land in Texas is public.
Yeah, we only have 4 whole national forests
If
total,
you were to
right?
go to Florida,
Yeah,
about the
Higher
same,
ups
right?
take
If you
care
go to
of that.
Colorado,
Always do.
Montana, Wyoming, you go out west somewhere,
it's like 70%
it's a lot
almost.
different picture, right? So the urban interface on this forest, just like the
I was
Ocala,
told a while ago
is
not to
very
sign a
high.
permit
It's very great.
when I called a lawyer.
The rules
told me what we
here
could do
are different than they are out
As a
west.
solution. and
So
it wouldn't
does
be in the
anybody
forest for
know
2 weeks.
I think it would be fair to say
when the
that
last time you had a
land-
national in
the
Texas
land
was?
management strategies are different
Right.
from out west
Yeah.
as well.
Savage, when was the last national?
1989.
Were you there?
The only one? No, I did not go. There's too many law enforcement and they was too fucking mean. Pardon my language.
Yeah, so apparently it didn't go very well.
It did
You
not.
probably have some knowledge of what permit stuff would be appropriate for this and what we would actually need. Could you provide for us some stuff to look over for a proposal to give us an example so we can read it and understand it well before we're signing and turning in this proposal?
So, yes, and yes, okay?
I would
The
very
biggest
much
thing
like
is,
to have
I'm not the
proposal to
one
review.
that approves them.
Right.
I am the facilitator, and yes, part of my job is if you
So that-
want assistance, I will work with you to
Yeah.
try to find the best route for you to create a proposal, and then we will look at the screening process together to make sure that it aligns with that, and then I will have to push it up the line to someone who actually has the authority to approve.
I'm
it.
sure that I'll get a lot of pushback from the group for this, but I would like to at least have looked at the paperwork and see what it says
Right.
before everyone decides to say no, we're not going to do a thing and da 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 da. Let's at least look at what
So
that
I
option
think
looks
that's
like
smart.
and read
Let's
it
start with
carefully.
this. So I'm going to try to work between y'all's side and the forest.
Yeah.
I'm packing up my
So
things and I'm going
if
to
I
a
were to
different
say,
forest
Mr.
place,
Davis,
and it's
what do you
an
need
hour up the road.
as far as, you know, what constitutes a proposal?
That's what I was told to
Is
do.
that I stand up
Right.
right now verbally and
Our
say, hey,
elders that
we
are-
would like to do this. Now what do I need to
that
do?
are Texas family.
So it's a little more formal than that,
Okay.
but I actually highlighted the proposal process in there, and it's fairly, it should be fairly, you know,
Cut and dry,
explanatory.
yeah.
But what's more than anything, the nuances of what you are hoping to do need to be laid into some form that I can look at and
Right.
review, and
The
that's
time and the
ultimately
date
where we
and the-
need to go.
and the location
But
and-
exactly
and
the
maybe
where, what, when, why, and
parameter
how.
of why.
That's kind of the bottom line of it.
Right.
And then, you know, the other thing is, and I would ask, you know, again, to kind of think with some forward vision. Probably not the last time you guys want to be in Texas, right?
Correct.
I mean,
I
so
like
if,
So this is actually the first
Texas
time in
is
a while
great.
that our Texas family
Dude, it's
has
awesome.
shared
Opened up.
with the rest of
Yeah.
the
world.
community. Yeah,
They've
'cause
been
usually it is
closed
very
off for more than a
intimate
decade.
Texas gathering where it just looks like some family camping out, probably no more than 20 people. But since we are on, like, we all have a lot of friends, and yeah, there are going to be probably more than 50 of us for sure, and then the locals. So naturally, I mean, how many was at Oregon? I mean, Colorado Nationals,
Colorado was like 20,000.
right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, like, this is a very intimate family gathering, and there's just going to be food and drums, lots of children. So we're just looking for a place to park, a nice trail in, and we're going to be supplying our own water. So we're not really looking for a lot. I
And then we
personally,
naturalize the environment when we're done.
this is not practical for holding. Being at a trailhead, never, ever, ever do holding at trailhead. So
Probably won't
maybe if
again.
y'all could suggest a place for us to move, and as we continue the process of the permit.
So
I tell you what would actually help me out is if you guys have like a few different options of where you have maybe thought about.
So this is
And-
not on us, this is on the other side. This is the Texas family. So we are part of scouting and stuff, only because they're letting us feel like we're part of it, but we're not really choosing the site, they are.
The involvement is strictly
Is anybody
academic. We're
from
not
that-
actually doing any of the scouting.
here,
Savage
It's
was
like
the only one that's
kind of
connected with
him,
them.
but I want to say like,
They pretty much threw us here and they're like, hey, y'all just hang out and we'll let you know when we pick a site, kind of thing.
like we didn't come here because we were told to come
kinda are
here.
their
We came
own
here
people.
because we knew somebody was going to be in this forest, and we figured maybe we'd find us.
So back to just kind of recapping real quick, and if we can kind of project into the future and try to have things lined out and proposed ahead of time, I think it would save a lot of people maybe some heartburn, and try to work through them as, you know, professionally as we can, and put things together so that it's beneficial for the forest and your group. That's kind of my spot.
We're not going to be tapping into water for this gathering. We'll have all our own water and resources. Would you do me the solid of coming up with what you believe to be the appropriate paperwork for what you think fits here, since you have, I feel like you have enough knowledge, prior knowledge and experience with this to know your way around your own system, right? So it would be very much appreciated if we had your help in looking at what type of permit we actually need to get and getting the appropriate things for what we're actually doing.
And again, you have to kind of understand where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say which type
Right.
you're gonna need until I kind of have that proposal
Right.
that I can then review, and that helps me. Then I'm in a position where I'm more in a driver's seat where I can say, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking we need to lean towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to do that with no basic knowledge, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to provide this to you. and you can kind of skim through that, and I think it will help you kind of outline what the proposal should look like and kind of what it needs to contain. And I think was it you or the other?
And it just needs to be a written proposal?
It should be, yes, sir. That way, because I have to start a file with it, so of course,
Right.
and everything we do now is electronic. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys have an email that we could just?
I actually gave the young lady my card. My email is on the card, so absolutely.
Yeah, so we can email you a potential proposal, and you can start on that.
Absolutely,
As soon as
and
we do
then
that.
make sure that I'm able to, some sort of contact information or a contact point of contact that I
Right.
can work with and through. And
Because my face would be red if we didn't give due diligence to the possibility of this moving forward.
and
Yeah, because it could be very easily just end up flopping because we didn't just take the time to look at the possibilities that were presented to us.
and possibly even make the
Could be a mess,
future
yeah.
a whole lot easier, because sometimes there's ways to kind of navigate around those once you've had a permit. We have a lot of information. It's easy to kind of reissue a permit as opposed to having
Starting
to
a
walk
new
back through
permit,
the
yeah,
process. So
the process in the
ultimately, I
future would
came
be-
out here to hopefully be of a service and provide some customer service from a positive aspect from the Forest Service, and hopefully that was accomplished, and hopefully y'all have a great afternoon. And again, I know Officer Smith is trying to make sure you have some good information on where the burn plans are and what is proposed and where we have. That should also kind of help narrow down, kind of what you're looking at in the proposal. So.
Yeah. I really appreciate you guys feeling the need to come down here and make sure we have this information.
This is my job. This
Yeah.
is what I do. Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
So if and as long as we're in the realm and in the box that I fit in, I'm going to try to do everything I can to help you out and make
All
sure
right.
that I may not always have a yes, but I can at least explain to you why I wasn't able to get a yes. Does that seem fair enough?
Yeah.
I love your dog, man.
Oh, Sable.
I know Sable's so.
What's his name?
She's so cool.
Sable.
Oh, it's a girl?
It's a
It's a
boy.
boy.
Oh,
boy.
Sable's a boy. This one's Chiron. Chiron, yeah, like the Greek god.
My sister had one named Cronus.
Crogus.
Cool, yeah, that's his father. Yeah, that's Chiron's daddy.
I know. I thought that was kind of cute.
Can I ask you about the highlighted
Aw.
parts on this?
Which one, sir?
It's like this part says, in the case of an affiliate which controls that entity, the number of shares and the percentage of any class of voting stock may be either directly or indirectly.
So
Did you bring the stickers and patches or no?
If you, that's one of the reasons we're making
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Yeah. It says like non-commercial versus use. Next time.
Oh, right in the
Punch in the
face.
face. He's gonna rip my arm off.
Take that.
Why get up? I don't want to. You're gonna rip off stuff. No one got happy face. Get us. No one got happy face.
Chiron, we talked about your dad today. We talked about your dad
As far
today.
as permits go,
This is where you
I've
got
seen
your
a
name.
lot of permits where it's like a $10,000 deposit. I used to host events.
I am a little hard of hearing. I didn't mean to talk over you.
So like as far as permits go, a cap of $78 is ridiculously cheap. I've hosted events where I paid $10,000 deposit, $350 for like rental for porta potties, plus the fucking the insurance for that, which is another like $400. It gets expensive quick with permits. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never heard of
$78
a
sounds
permit
cool.
cost being $78. That's not it being that cheap to begin with, much less that's the cap. So that's very reasonable.
And I do want to loop
As far as
back
permits
around on
go.
that. So a land use fee
Yeah.
would be $78. But if there were additional things that needed to be done to protect or reserve some of that particular area, there could be different implements added. Like if you're a bicycle group and you're going down the road, well, part of our permit might say you have to have a law enforcement lead and a law enforcement tail to make sure that there's safety traveling with them. So there things like that.
If you're doing like a bicycle group where
there's additional costs sometimes that are brought by the proponent because they want to make their event safe, but not necessarily that we have instituted.
Right, it's not.
Do you need water?
But the people asking for the permit might
I need water.
for that.
Will you hold on to that? Because I'm trying to
Required, but it
record everything being said so that we could recap it if we need to.
I mean, I can't speak for any other people. So if I sign that proposal, am I ascertaining that I would be required to pay whatever usage fees there are?
So when you agree to sign a permit, that means that you are going to be the responsible party.
So I'll just point of contact.
You would be the point, especially for a non-commercial group use, you would be a point of contact.
Yeah. But then the way you said that the responsibility is like that, does that incur liability? Like if the group does something wrong or if somebody goes wild, then am I held liable for what happened at that event?
That's not something I would be able to answer, but I would think probably not. I would think that because it's under a non-commercial, that individual.
We try to police each other as much as possible.
A few people can do that.
Yeah, I would think under the non-commercial blanket that an individual acting of their own volition would be responsibilities of them and
somebody will mess it up.
Although that's also how I feel. I feel I can only act of my own volition and hold responsibility for myself. I can tell you that I'm thinking a bunch of people might be coming to the woods, but I have no idea who they are or how many.
Let's say that you're going to be every single person. Hypothetically, my point of contact, and in our discussions, and we're working to build a permit, and we have agreed that everything is going to be parked a certain way to provide access, ingress, and egress.
Yeah, we want to make sure people can come through.
Exactly. So I come up and come out to say hi and see how things are going, and I can't get through. You're my point of contact, and I'm going to go to you. I'm going to say, hey, man, we agreed that we were going to be able to move through here.
Then I'm going to go around and make a run and be like, we got to get cars out of this road.
But you know what I'm saying? I would prefer to not have to even bother you when I come out, because as a point of contact, I would like to think that you're going to be that responsible individual that says we agreed to this type of parking plan.
Not even just me. If somebody parks in the road, like 15 people are going to be like, who's parking in the damn road? Before you even make a problem.
But you see what I'm saying? That's kind of, we're talking about
it's tobacco.
And I'll share with you, I was talking about one of the trails groups that we use sometimes. They had an event that it did not reach 75 people. But he had a permit, and he called me and says, hey, he says, I think we're going to be really tight in this trailhead. And I said, listen, I need you to ensure that because it's close to hunting season, that you talk to your individuals and make sure they're in blaze orange. And I said, I need you to make sure that I can get completely around inside that particular unit there.
Literally, some local girls.
I got some of our employees here, and they said, hey man, this guy had everybody in blaze orange. He had a meeting with them and made sure that all of the parking was right, because I could drive all the way around. I said, this is perfect. I shot him a text. I said, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. And that was kind of the end of it, but it's that kind of cooperation and kind of making sure that it's not, because if I'm at my office or if it's on Sunday afternoon and I'm at home spending time with my family and I get 45 phone calls because somebody can't get to a trailhead, then I'm going to be trying to find your number, and I'm going to say, I'm going out and talk to this cat. Because he promised me I wasn't going to deal with this, right? So that's what point of contact is going to mean to me.
And just to reflect on that, is it hunting season? Are we going to have to wear orange?
Hunting season?
But now listen, just so you're aware, it is always hunting season for wild hogs.
For wild hogs, yeah.
So if there you could encounter hunters, and they should be in their blaze orange and stuff.
And they're permitted.
They have a license and they would be hunting legally, but that just know that hunting season is open for wild hogs all year. That doesn't close. They're a nuisance, not a.
Do you need a permit to hunt the hogs?
You need a license.
You need a license?
So here you actually need more than just a license, because one of the other things.
Oh, because you need tags as well, right?
Well, so here in the Sam Houston National Forest, we're different than any other national forest in Texas. Our whole area is a wildlife management area.
Cool.
So we also require an annual wildlife hunter's permit, and we refer to it as the annual permit through the state of Texas.
And for fishing as well?
And a license.
Haley.
And a license.
Is that for fishing as well here?
You don't have to have an annual permit for fishing, but you have to have a license for fishing.
Okay. And because I know in some states, like if you're a registered resident, you get rights to stuff like not in
anywhere in the national forest. You are, if you fish anywhere in the national forest, you're required to have a fishing license and a hunting.
I was just interested because I saw some of those hogs when we came in the other night, and you know, they're kind of. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
So,
we can have a sit down.
guys, I apologize, but I need to head out. I have family in town, and I need to go take care of some things. But thank you for spending a few minutes with me today and letting me kind of try to share.
I appreciate a cordial liaison between your department and I think you know this is a great introduction.
It's going to make our
to,
chances of being able to do this really well. It's
Again,
going to be a thing that's going to happen every year. A lot higher.
Yeah, I think
really going to make it possible rather than just probable.
Right.
I get it.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure chatting with you guys.
Not this day and age. Times have changed. Like in the
Listen,
70s,
you guys are more than welcome
the 70s
to
and the 80s,
be
they were
part
all
of the
about
family.
practicing their rights.
You know, we got
Hey man,
food in
come
the
in,
woods. We
fucking
got
get naked
we got
on a log fire,
we got
come
coffee
beat my
for
drum.
you guys. You know, come dry your feet out, warm up by the fire.
Feed you.
Before you go,
Yes, sir.
There were two sections that were kind of highlighted for reading them out. This one says permits or easements for right of way for.
Okay, hold on right there.
We're just asking y'all to do it
So
like everybody else.
You guys are both, all you guys are definitely invited to dinner.
Go see if you can get him to get hooked up with some of the Texas family members that are
gas and oil pipe.
in the deciding realm. Not
That
like,
section, you notice how I kind of
you
highlight?
know, I don't want to talk to somebody from the Texas
Oh, okay.
Did that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not going to be.
We ain't making no easements.
You're not getting
See,
the
if you go
pipeline
talk to him, I
permit,
don't
so that
need to know
doesn't apply to
until-
you. So that's why.
We might be trying to fight whoever is, though.
Well,
Yep.
I'm
this is
chain
Texas.
myself to
This
this
is
thing.
Texas.
It is.
Very, very, very popular mineral state. So,
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I don't know if Officer Smith is finished, but I've wrapped up what I needed, and I
Yeah,
do
so
appreciate it.
Chiron, you're really in the way for him to leave.
Chiron, come here, brother. Come on, out from under there.
He's the only one, right?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
We want to meet and talk about it before, because nobody here is going to make.
My name is Rourke.
Have you guys made contact with the
So-
other holdings? Have you guys made contact with the other holding that we're not in contact with?
Is there another holding confirmed?
There's another holding out there where
I knew we went to the wrong spot.
No, it's for the Texas families gathering.
Where are they at?
We have no idea.
We don't even know them. We've never
wish
met
we
them.
knew.
We thought they were going to come and meet us.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get Savage to come off of, like, I don't need their name.
He doesn't know anybody either.
Either they want to, well, I mean, he seems to be the only one that has any contact with the Texas family.
I think the Texas family he's in contact with are still more than 600 miles away.
And we've
I've
never
also
met.
heard
Yeah.
him
And we-
like
and we
kind
also
of
never met
admit
them.
that he's really only
He
in
doesn't know
contact
them.
with one
I
of
thought
the
there was
scouts.
And
He's
he
in
doesn't know
contact
the
with
holding.
one
He's
other
never
scout,
met him
but
before.
not close yet.
There is another
We gotta get out of here, bro. We gotta go there.
Maybe they have a permit. Who knows?
They're really
They already have a
a
permit.
random
I can
permit.
tell y'all this, that if a permit does not go through, you know, he doesn't have a bad idea on
Moving.
maybe everybody picking up and moving
Relocating.
to a different unit until y'all get it figured out.
Right, that would be
Because
wise.
I assure you, the way this works is every time y'all have contact with us, everybody's on video, right? So every one of y'all that's here for the 10 days between now and then, on day 4, I'm gonna be like, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're out.
Well, can I just say, if you come to me and be like, you've been here for 10 days, you're out, I can just leave, right? I don't have to have any problem.
Yeah, I mean, unless you make a problem out of it.
I tend not to make any problems and just settle any problems created.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to leave with a violation notice for 14 days.
So that's either like don't return to Texas and pay a lot of money.
No, well, I mean, you know, it's like a $150 fine for your first.
Don't return to Texas. I understand.
I'm not saying that.
I'm joking around with you.
Yeah, all I'm saying is
trying to
here's the
keep it
rules,
light.
and you've been informed of them.
Definitely.
And if you break them, I mean, what other option do I have? You see what I'm saying?
Ignorance? I don't know. Please.
See, now you ain't ignorant. Right? Now you ain't ignorant to the fact.
No, I ain't ignorant to the fact. I understand what you're saying, and I thank you for sharing the information.
Right?
A different section of the same forest, like or
no,
out of the forest.
It has to be off this unit. So
what do you mean by unit?
Sam Houston National Forest.
That is the unit. Okay.
Sam
yeah,
Houston
so
National Forest.
it's 14 days in a 30-day period on any one unit. Right?
Is there BLM in Texas?
Oh, like
way out, not close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there is another forest.
There's national wildlife refuges.
State
Would that be a different unit?
Yeah.
And there's a state forest.
Yeah, the National Wildlife Refuge doesn't have anything to do with it.
Does the state forest have the
that's
same
Fish and
restrictions
Wildlife.
of
Probably
the
couldn't
days
gather
that you can
that.
be there?
You know, I honestly don't
Probably
know.
could. I mean, some
You guys are
beach, most
national.
of it.
Can you show us where that is?
We could really just go with the default here and just post up in a Walmart parking lot for half a week.
Look up,
Tell me we've never done that before. Come on.
just look up Fish and Wildlife National
They have a
Refuges
Walmart.
in Texas.
Yeah.
And
Fish and Wildlife.
yeah,
National
so there's some that aren't very far from here. You know, probably hour, 20 hour, 30 minutes driving. Don't steal my map, Ruben.
I have my own.
That's
mine.
not far at all. We drive for weeks at
I
a
have
time.
no confidence that I can get like other people to agree to put me in any place or anything. But also, like, I care about the people that are going to be coming here, even though I don't know most of them. And I don't want you guys to have to tell us to leave.
Chiron, don't go under there.
Most of
Come here,
them
buddy.
worried about some crazy hippie
I
who's
see
gonna be
his
like,
leash.
I don't have to
You
leave.
gotta be a holder.
or something. So like, I'd like to it's your proposal. I've got no experience with that. So
We're gonna counsel. We're gonna counsel about
yeah.
I think there's. I think the only thing to me that's important is that when you generate your proposal, that it encompasses the purpose and needs of what you have, so that I can make sure that we're looking at the right instrument to apply it to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So something along the lines of this is where, when, and why, and the why could be we're exerting our constitutional rights as citizens of the United States, and we're trying and to do the best to respect the laws of the federal land that we're on.
So listen, what he needs is this.
So
we're some people that are wanting to gather. There's a potential of going over 75%, right? This is where we would like to gather at. These are our needs. You know, there's possibly going to be, 70 to 100 vehicles. We need to be by water. We need to be in somewhere that's, not going to be burned over. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then the dates and times that y'all want that to occur. So March 12th through the 22nd. Right?
14th to the 21st.
The 14th to the 21st.
So y'all's social media that you've put out, I can show you.
I can give you clarification for that.
Yeah, it's the 12th to the 22nd is what the
essentially for the proposal, yes, but for as far as like telling people to come, is technically the 14th. The 12th is like to set up, make sure the forest is ripe for everybody.
Okay, but here's what I'm going off of. Yeah. I'm going off of what anybody in the public
can information that you've been given.
Okay.
The information that
it's the information that somebody in y'all's groups put out.
They've presented.
So whether that's for y'all's group or the entire world that wants to come, that's already been put out there on the internet.
I'm just saying we would not be likely to hit 75 or over on the 12th, but on between the 14th and the 21st is when we would have a large group of people. The 22nd would be reserved for cleaning up, renaturalizing the lands, making sure we're not making a mess of the woods.
And that right there, you need to line out in your proposal, right?
Yeah.
So these are the things, this is the timeline,
Yeah.
and then this date's going to be reserved for this. The majority of people will be leaving. We'll have a crew that stands by afterwards, and we plan on doing XYZ to reclamate the lands, and then you're going to give that to him, right? And then he's going to look at it, and he may initially say, hey, well, I can tell y'all right off the bat, guys, this, and this will have to be reclamated. You know, instead of digging latrines, you may have to have a porta-john or whatever that is, right?
That'd be impossible.
So, how would that be impossible?
We're bringing a porta potty out here. I mean, are we not like
$10 a day or whatever it is? You know, whatever the fee for them is.
a lot of us don't have money.
Well, I understand that, but once again, okay, let me ask y'all this, guys.
Yeah.
What rights do y'all have that every other citizen doesn't?
I am a human on this earth.
Well, we all share the same rights.
Yeah,
We all share the same rights, right?
Yeah.
We're not asking y'all to do anything that we don't ask any other group of people to do.
Yeah, but you ask all these other group of people to do it. I'm like, why can't people just be here? But I don't mean to be criticizing you, just like as a measure of the law.
Well, so
as like
think
humans
about it
on
like
the planet
this,
Earth.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Do you like being here?
I do.
Right? Do you like the state that the forest is in?
I do.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way that happens is because this entity right here has been put in charge of ensuring that it gets regulated properly. Because if we didn't do that, people would come out here and do whatever they wanted, and they would destroy it. It wouldn't be what it is right now, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's your answer right there.
I think honestly, I think the law enforcement knows that as Rainbow, we are here to keep the land in a safe space, and I think that, honestly, like, this is their protocol, man. Like, this is not like they're
I'm not criticizing
gunning for
I'm
us
thankful
anything.
for them coming here and sharing this information with us.
Yeah,
that was the
we do have the right to public assembly,
anywhere, anytime, any amount of people.
but in the state of Texas, under the Constitution of the state of Texas and federal legislation,
Texas's state constitution doesn't trump our rights as American
There's a
citizens.
bunch of people of their own
but
volition coming
we're
into
on
this
federal
circle
land.
Right,
to talk about
so
what's
it has
going
nothing
to
to do
take
with
place.
Texas. This is about our rights as citizens of the United States.
Yeah.
Even on this
Our right
planet,
to
this
assemble
happens
without
all over
permits
the
of
world.
any size. Yeah.
It's a little confusing. It's a little confusing as free citizens, as sovereign citizens of the United States. To
No,
be,
nobody's
Well,
sovereign
my
except for
thing,
police
my
officers.
thing, there are sovereign citizens.
I'm
also.
sovereign.
No, you got to drive.
We're held to way more rules and laws than y'all are.
Is that
By
true?
far.
I just flex a little bit.
Listen, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now. I did 5 years in the United States Marine Corps. All right. I mean, I've gone to war and been back.
Well,
and,
you've offered
look,
my right to do this, though.
That's right. And not just your right, but my right and everybody else's. So I'm all about y'all's rights as U.S. citizens. I promise y'all that. Because I lost a lot of friends and I laid a lot of blood down in places that y'all probably would never want to go to do that. So I'm all about that. But at the same time, there's rules and regulations that go with that. It's not just, you know, a free-for-all. Because if you want to have this here for later generations, if you don't have that, what do you think this will look like in 20 years? Drive down to downtown Houston, man.
Well, I mean,
that's what it'll look
I think
like.
the last one here was 89 or 87 or whatever, and we haven't really gathered here since. So, like, maybe building a good rapport with the local
instead of having
law
a bad
enforcement
experience,
and being
why
able
not
to
build
do
a
this in the
rapport?
future instead of
And that's what I'm
continuing on with
about.
not coming to Texas.
I'm not trying to be like, we can be here no matter what. You can't tell us what to do.
Get him, Rourke.
I know that there are people that are like that, and I want to protect the community from that hazardous interaction. Someone trying to be indignant with law enforcement. I'm like, if I do the thing, then maybe we don't have to have a confrontation. We can be all nice.
I'm telling y'all, that's why we're here. We don't want to be confrontational with y'all.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys.
We didn't have to come out here and give you all this.
Yeah, I know that, bro. Yeah, this is unique. So anything I can do to corroborate that.
Well, we know now what we got to do. We got to write a proposal. We're going to counsel about it after these ladies and gentlemen leave. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Officer Davis.
Share on a map.
Wave it at your camera. Get my good side.
I don't consent.
He doesn't consent. You gotta blur his face out. He doesn't consent to be a videotape.
I do not consent.
I talked to her and I talked to Ward, and I think they both have good idea.
I think they're at least more down the path and they know how to contact you, right?
Yeah, I've got your information. We've got it. I've got a phone. I'll charge it with solar, and I'll contact you as soon as I have any answers for you. We're gonna figure this out today. We're gonna talk about it today. Maybe tomorrow we're gonna continue the conversation. Oh yeah, it's the weekend.
Yeah, tomorrow will be Sunday, but they give you some time to think.
Totally.
And I think actually we may be on some fire tomorrow. So
I mean, he's probably not you're not expecting him to contact you until Monday, probably.
Yeah, I think Monday or Tuesday probably be a whole lot better.
Well, I mean, Monday is probably going to be the ticket date because you said that it takes about 7 days to process, and 7 days from Monday will be like the 12th, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to tackle this with urgency, but I understand the schedule. I'm going to try to have a proposal written up for you by Monday, though.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah,
by submitting the proposal, that is our due diligence. Is that correct?
What due diligence?
May
I have some tobacco?
You want to hear what I just read? I cannot believe how true it is. Snowflake. Whatever. This book is really cool. It actually is fucking true.
Tell us about the projected burn.
She likes her man to surprise her. If he comes over with the Chinese meal and eats it with her in the bathtub, she will be his slave for the night. Or she may just proceed to make love to him as he never dreamed a woman could make love. When Pisces takes command, she does so totally.
Are you a Pisces?
Yeah.
Nice.
I cannot believe how like on point this book is. I'm sitting here like, holy shit, they're like reading
the
me
Piscean
to a
has the
T.
potential for sharing energy totally and equally with another being.
No, you gotta start
learn
beginning.
to transform early fears and hang-ups into life-giving feelings. The sexually aware Pisces woman transforms her sexual encounters into a whole soul-binding union with her special lover. She wants a sensory flowering that is complete and shared. It is difficult to move from sexual repression to full sensuality. The first step recommended by today's sex therapist is knowing how to give pleasure to oneself. Pisces needs to get to know her own body well and not simply trust the ministrations.
Actively like learning, you know, about it.
It's actually like, holy shit.
Is it accurate?
Yeah. I've never read a book that talked about my sexuality like this, and I'm like, holy shit, this is to a T.
Wow.
Like the entire thing. It would be awesome if anyone interested in me read this, because right here it says what the Pisces woman seeks in the unification of love and sex in her union with another is purity and harmony. It's true. Like, I don't got time for any other bullshit.
Yeah, just pureness and bliss.
Well, I can't deal with anger. I'm gonna turn this off.